All right, welcome in. Cube Show podcast, college football podcast, usually coming to you on Mondays due to some travel issues and times changing on flights. I had to come to you today, so thanks for being with us. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, like, tell your friends about us as well. We always appreciate that. Going to run through all the SEC games today, watch the film, let you know what we saw, and then obviously another head coach gone in the SEC. We'll talk about the firing of Hugh Freeze as well. But don't forget, each and every week brought to you by Wickles Pickles, wickedly delicious. Yes, we have them. We love them. They're here. We snack on them. We eat them. You should too. WicklesPickles.com. At Wickles Pickles on social media. You get all kind of recipes, different things that they do with them there. We love them here. Put them on burgers, snack on them. I'm telling you, if you ever cook the Conecuh, cut it up, put a toothpick between one of those and a Wickle. Oh, man, it's unbelievable. Wickles Pickles. You can go to the website too. T-shirts, aprons, pickleball paddles. Support them because they support us. Thank you very much. Wickles Pickles. All right, let's get into it. First off, Auburn loses 10-3 to Kentucky. Kudos to Brad White for this plan. You go back and you watch it, you pay attention to what they were doing in the middle of the defense, specifically taking Khalil Saunders, a couple of David Gusta, a couple of those defensive linemen. You had a 17-year-old center that had made one start starting this game, and they attacked him. I had an idea this was coming because Texas played Kentucky with a backup center, and they did a lot of the same things. Basically went after him. You're trying to cause bad snaps. You're trying to cause miscommunication. You're trying to take advantage of a guy who maybe technically, fundamentally doesn't understand all of the speed and power of the game. And I thought they were able to do that. So that was a big piece of why a lot of the pressure came, but that's not the only piece. These Auburn tackles did not handle things well. Right tackle specifically late in the game, opening up his hips. And when I say that, just imagine like your shoulders and your hips. When you open those up to the sideline, that creates a direct path to the quarterback. So you have to take that vertical set, keeping those shoulders and hips square, coming back and over. That way you have the ability to stay square and cut him off if he comes inside. And then obviously you can continue to try to ride that outside shoulder, and then you use that pit maneuver where you slam him when he comes past you at the last minute and try to ride him past the quarterback. It was just opening up direct path to the quarterback. Ashton Daniels gets the start in this game for Auburn. I'm going to tell you guys, I don't know what to make of Ashton Daniels because I don't think it's really his fault. He didn't have time to set up on many throws. Did he miss a throw or two? Sure. Thought he did a good job of knowing when to leave the pocket. Did his eyes begin to come down a little bit early later in the game? Yeah, but you could imagine so. And some of the things that were said during the game, I was on the broadcast of this one with Alyssa Lang and Tom Hart, probably more confusing than was actually happening in the game. So Alyssa talks to Hugh Freeze going into halftime. And, you know, he says, Ashton's not seeing some things. He's missing some slants. We got to evaluate this. Don't know what we're going to do. But he's not seeing things. And then coming out, he says, well, don't like what he's seeing, how he's seeing it. We're going to give him a series, and then Jackson Arnold's going to go. To which I had to ask on the air, if he's not seeing it, why is he even going to go a series? That's not your guy. If he's not seeing things the way they need to be, how is he going to continue to be your quarterback? I don't know. I don't know how you can say that and play that moving forward. It doesn't matter. It's done now. And then she talks to him going into the third quarter. He talks about how we're moving the ball, but we feel like, we're moving the ball there, but we got behind the sticks, and I feel like Jackson's going to give us a spark. Maybe that was right after halftime. But he did say that at one point, but the reason that the ball wasn't being moved anymore was because a wide receiver got a procedure penalty, and they backed him up behind the sticks. So some of it was just nonsensical. And then Ashton Daniels comes back in to run 2 minute, which, I don't know, maybe he gives you the better option there with his, experience and having been around and done it. Maybe he does it better in practice. It was an odd juggling of the quarterback. And this whole, got to find a spark. We've heard that multiple times the last 2 years. Guys, creating a spark comes with execution. Now, you can have a bigger spark based on someone's level of talent. Like, if you're running quarterback draw and it's executed perfectly, Lamar Jackson's probably giving you a better spark than Jared Lorenzen, unless you need 1 or 2 yards. But you have to execute plays to generate a spark. That's the only way. So, some guys, Manziel could run around a little bit and help you out. But if you're talking about consistently being able to do things in a different way, you got to execute the plays first. And then someone's athleticism or ability can go above and beyond that and help you even more so. So it was very confusing. It felt very similar in there to LSU the previous week, where not a lot of people went into this game and said, he wins this or he's out. But how the game went, and as the game was going along, it just mounted and mounted and mounted, and it got worse and worse and worse. And the momentum there was this groundswell of momentum for this cannot continue. And I don't think John Cohen had a choice on Sunday. For the record, I don't like in-season firings because I've been through one. And I know that the players receive less coaching, less attention. There's less attention to detail. There's less practice time, less film time, because these guys are worried about where they're going next. It's the reality of it. They got one foot out the door most of the time. And you can't blame them because they don't know what their future holds. They're trying to find something else. So it's a difficult situation to be in. It comes with a lot of distractions. Now, it's different today because you have the portal. You're getting paid. So I don't feel quite as sorry as I did 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But it's still not fun. Football is supposed to be fun. These guys only get so many opportunities to put the uniform on and go out there and play. And now it's not going to be as enjoyable because guys are going to the portal. Is your teammate going to the portal? Is that coach going to be somewhere else? Who's going to be our head coach? What's he going to be like? Is he going to like me? I mean, I can remember multiple guys on our team saying, if so-and-so gets it, I'm out. If this guy gets it, I quit, or I'm going to try to transfer. Back in my day, it was try to transfer. Like, it wasn't a guarantee you could get anywhere. It wasn't like it is now. And transfer was a freaking death wish when I was playing college football. So it's just very different in today's day and age, but I still hate it for the kids. I do. And those other assistants and their families, it's a lot that they got to go through. So I'm appreciative of a lot of them, what they did at Auburn for Auburn, but Hugh Freeze was 15-19. He was 6-16 in the SEC. 15 of his games, he scored 20 or fewer points. It's going to be the fifth straight losing season at Auburn if they can't get this thing turned around. That would tie the longest streak in school history. Listen, Malzahn went 8 years and no losing seasons and had 2 10-win seasons. Hugh Freeze also 2-10 in one-score games. Only Arkansas has a worse record than that since 2023. 1-12 against AP-ranked opponents. Started 0-4 in the SEC all 3 years. That's happened twice in the previous 70 seasons before he arrived. Twice. So, when you look at scoring and total offense right now, or the lowest it's been since 2012 at Auburn. Bottom 3 in the SEC in points per game, yards per game, and red zone percentage. 3 points is the fewest in a home game since 2012. It's the first time they've lost a game with allowing 10 or fewer points since the 80s. Just you start stacking these things up, and it becomes really, it's not even a question of if, but when, and it had to be done. So where does Auburn go next? A lot of the candidates that you've heard being tossed around, I think are good. I think they're great names. I'll just say this. I don't think Auburn needs a retread in the profile category. Auburn needs, in my opinion, needs to go a little old school here. I think Auburn needs toughness, needs grit. I think it's one of the major things that was lacking from the last administration that was running the football program at Auburn. I think somebody with a little shit to them is what they need, to be frank. And carried away with an offensive guy or offensive system, I think it'd probably benefit Auburn more to find somebody that just wants to win football games and would do whatever it takes to win football games. A relentless recruiter who is relatable. Another thing that the previous regime lacked at the top is being relatable and having self-awareness. And there are candidates out there that fit this bill. So that's how I would lay it out. You go weigh out who you realistically think you can get that fits that description, and then you make your hire. So I think John Cohen has a chance to make a good hire. I think John Cohen has a chance to upgrade here. Realistically has a chance to go and absolutely upgrade, not only at head coach, but with the entire staff. So we'll see where it goes, and we'll obviously be here to talk about it when it does. I do want to give Cutter Boley missed some throws in this game, but he was under pressure a little bit too. I did think the Kentucky offensive line, based on what DJ Durkin shows you, and DJ called a great game here. He'll be the interim head coach at Auburn. I think he'll do a fantastic job. Based on how he operates, the different ways that they line up, and you saw like that third down late in the game where they actually sat Cutter Boley. I mean, that thing looked like punt block. There's a couple of them he runs like that. I mean, I showed him 2 or 3 still pictures before the game. I'm like, Coach, what do we call this? Because I ain't never seen that before. And he kind of laughed. He's like, well, we might be misaligned on that one. And he's like, well, we call this. We do this because of that. DJ Durkin's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. And I think he's going to do a great job as the interim. He's done a great job as the defensive coordinator. And as John Cohen said in his press conference, he will be discussed as a potential head coach based on how the rest of this year goes. But I thought the offensive line for Kentucky did a good job sorting things out based on what they were given. You can't just slide the protection. And you can't sometimes just make decisions on this is the mic, go with that. Like, you have to be versatile in your protection. And I'll say this. I thought Eric Wolford and that offensive line did a really nice job of sorting a lot of that stuff out, because there were a lot of clean pockets for Cutter Bully. Missed some things, but I do think he's still you're seeing him grow up a little bit the last 2 weeks. When to tuck the ball and run. Don't wait. Don't press. Don't panic. Just tuck it and get out of there. And he made a couple high-level difficulty throws in this game. And speaking of that, going back to that Auburn play where it looked like punt block and they get the sack, I thought this came down to Auburn gambling on defense a couple of times as well. And I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm not putting any shame on that. There had to be a sense of having to do that at a couple points in time in this game. It's like the interception return late. Probably felt like got to get this in the end zone if we're going to have a chance to win this game. And it ends up being a fun. Was a great play by 22, by the way. Excellent play by 22. How Cameron Miller's not playing more for Kentucky? I have Kentucky again this weekend, and that's going to be one of my questions: is how is he not in the game more? Because the kid he's a football player, makes plays when he's in. But you go back to, I think it was the 3rd and 14 where Boley throws the little corner out down the Auburn sideline, and the DB jumps and mistimes it. How the receiver jumped and caught it the way he torqued his body, I don't even know. So you miss the opportunity to pick there. Then you come up and try to attack the screen on Kendrick Law. I actually did it on the first series of the game and missed it, and he got a couple yards. You miss it on this one, he runs it in for a touchdown. The next big gamble I thought was that 3rd down with the all-out blitz. You end up getting the sack. I think DJ and his guys probably thought, we have to do this. We have to play this way. Like, we've got to go try to take the ball away, and we've got to try to get it into the end zone. Those are 3 big gambles, 2 that went Kentucky's way, 1 that went Auburn's way, that I thought told a little bit of the story of just how this game had to go, because Auburn was not moving the football. And then some of the play calling too, where you're coming down at the end of the half, a chance to score. Finally, you run counter, you get a perimeter run going. It was going to be there because they were playing tight edges, Kentucky's defense was. They were having some trouble with contain, specifically with pullers. And you got outside once or twice, and then it's counter that works, and then counter again, and then counter again into the boundary. Things have to be married to one another. You have to be able to build off one another. Like, I think that's one thing that this offense has lacked all year is what is the foundation that can be leaned upon when it goes to hell in a handbasket? When nothing's going your way, what can you go out there and say, you know what, boys, we're going to go back to this because this is what we do best. I don't think there is that for this offense right now. And maybe they can find it here over the last couple of weeks and get some things going. Thought Kendrick Law was good for Kentucky. I'm going to tell you guys this, man. Seth McGowan is just a freaking dude, man. Seth McGowan is a dude. You want to talk about a cool quote? I asked Bush Hamdan, the Kentucky offensive coordinator, about him. And he said, I'll just sum up. I said, you guys look different when he's on the field. Just mannerisms, demeanor, attitude. It all looks different. He said, oh, because we are. And he said, you're exactly right. And it's not just him as a runner. It's him around the team. He goes, I'll put it this way. He said, when guys start farting around and guys start getting loose, maybe not paying attention, doing things we need him to do, he said, he's the one guy that I can look over at and go, really? And he said, 2-3 minutes later, it's done. Barely has to say anything. He said, he's not a big talker, but he can get the guys going. He can get them back in line. So listen, Seth McGowan's been through a lot. He's made some mistakes in his life, but it sounds like he's got things figured out now, and his maturity is helping that football team. And now Kentucky's got some winnable games down the stretch, maybe. Now, I know Louisville's a better football team. I know Florida probably has more talent, but what's Florida going to be coming off that Georgia game? We'll see here what Kentucky can do down the stretch, and they might make things really interesting late as far as what they're going to do moving forward in their football program. But defensively, I give that D-line a lot of credit. Sam Green was great. Tavian Gadsden was great inside. Gerard Smith was great inside. Austin Ramsey's kind of come out of nowhere the last couple of weeks. Big 76 inside for Kentucky. I got to get more information on him this week because we haven't had a lot of conversations about him, but he's been awesome. Alex Ofari kind of up and back, did a lot on his own in this game. Jordan Lovett was really good for Kentucky as well. I mentioned David Gusta inside. And then Steven Souls late, man. He was the hammer that put the nail in the coffin for that Kentucky defense. So I think the key point in this entire game was Kentucky got this to the style fight that they wanted and needed at the end of the day. Mark Stoops and his club probably wanted they said, let's drag this thing back into the alley. Mexican street fight rules, anything goes, no holds barred, trade punches, and see who's the last man standing. And that's what Auburn gave them. And Kentucky's able to win that style fight if you're going to give it to them. So kudos to the Wildcats. Tough one for Auburn. All right, guys, don't forget to go see my friends at Roback. Roback.com. Use promo code COLE20. And here's what you're going to get. 20% off your first order. The team-issued gear is in now. So you got Texas A&M, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama. They got the hoodies. They have the quarter zips, the polos. These hoodies are incredible. And I'm telling you, now that the weather's cooling off, those thicker hoodies are amazing from Roback. Pants, shirts, hats, belts. Go to Roback.com now. Promo code COLE20. Get your order in and get your team gear before the season's over. Georgia, Florida. This one was interesting. Obviously a tight game. The catch, no catch at the end. Big for Florida. But when I put this game on, I was really impressed with what Florida did offensively early in this game. The quick distribution from Lagway, and he still has a couple guys with the arm angles. I don't know how the ball comes out. Like, he flips one out to the right, and I think the tight end missed it. And you're just like, how does the ball even come out like that? I don't even understand it. He's a magician with some of the arm angles. But you had a little bit of Jaden Ball going. I mean, it wasn't a dominant day for him, 15 for 72 and a touchdown, but you had some stuff working. I thought the gap scheme stuff was working. And you probably were looking at waiting for Georgia to adjust and then go to some zone stuff later. But that gave them some bootlegs, some pocket movement. They kind of got DJ on the run. I liked a little bit of the quarterback design run, but I thought they got cute with it just a little bit too much. He did have the one north-south where he juked the safety, gave him a little ride right there. And that was a nice play. But the Georgia defense kind of does what it's done all year. You make a small adjustment or two here. You play something a little bit differently, and you're able to slam the door shut late. I give Gunnar Stockton a lot of credit, man. He was solid in this game. 20 of 29, 223, 2 touchdowns, a pick. Ran 13 times for 11 yards. They didn't ask him to run it a bunch, but just use the middle of the field. Quick ball distribution. Bobo had the screens going, the quick throws going, and Zion Branch just made plays. So take the high percentage throws, let your skill guys make plays, and then all of a sudden you come back, Chauncey Bowens, late in the game, an excellent cut on that zone play, gets all the way back across the line of scrimmage and takes that thing in for a touchdown. This was one where I think Georgia just felt like, let's just lean, and then we'll bust one. And instead of Florida kind of sticking with that plan, felt like they started to press a little bit, got a little bit cute. I mean, they had some things down the field early as well, but did not try to continue to stick with a lot of things that worked, tried a few too many things that maybe I thought were a little outside the realm of where they needed to live, and they allowed Georgia to come back and win that game. Thought the Georgia offensive line did some good things, pulling especially. Let me tell you guys what, man. They got some dudes that can move some humans. Georgia does. I mean, it is. I love watching the offensive line operate. It's not as clean as you want it to be. It's not as crisp as you want it to be fundamentally. But they got some guys that can just move some folks. They can be a physical group. I think they have a chance to end up being one of the better groups in the SEC by the time we get to the end of the season. But, you know, you look at just the physicality that they offer. Like Juan Gatson, when he gets out there and leans into somebody, he's going to move them. And he was moving folks in this game. I thought Florida right tackle had a pretty good game here. I thought Austin Barber did some nice things for Florida in this game. So this was a very physical game. And I don't know if coming out of it, a lot of people sort of felt that way and viewed it that way, but they were trading some paint in this one. It was a fun one to watch. Georgia gets to win 24-20. They'll go to 7-1. Ole Miss, South Carolina. This one was a cool watch too, because Pete Golding implemented some different things here that I don't think we've seen from his defense yet. I want to start on offense, though, for Ole Miss. Kejuan Lacey is exactly what we just described with Seth McGowan. Like, this guy is a hammer. He is a no-holds-barred, run through anyone, get tough, dirty yards. And because some of his runs are 4 yards and 6 yards, that with a lot of backs would have been -1 and 2 yards, he doesn't get a lot of love and a lot of appreciation for it. But he went 24 for 167 in this game, so he did bust a couple of big ones, had the 54-yard touchdown run. But, man, pass protection, he's step up and hammer somebody. Catch the ball out of the backfield, inside the tackles, outside the tackles, zone, gap, counter, doesn't matter. He just finds a way to make runs go. And he's fun to watch, dude. He really is. This Ole Miss offensive line, specifically center. Now, he's got to get the snaps figured out. We can't be having bad snaps this late in the season. But he did a great job managing all the movement up front, because Clayton White's going to be aggressive. He's going to try some different things. and probably knew that there weren't going to be elongated drops with Trinidad Chambliss in the pocket, so he wanted to move and try to get there quickly. They sorted all this stuff out extremely well. It's not a dominant group. It's not a group that you want to bring in, to that backyard brawl we just mentioned with Kentucky a few minutes ago, but they're starting to figure out how to get a hat on a hat, trade some things off, work the combos a little bit. They did a nice job with their double team box, working up to linebackers, and the linebackers played super aggressive for South Carolina, and that opened up some things in the run game. But like Okoronkwo played really well. I thought Fred Johnson did some good things for the South Carolina defense at linebacker. But this was more about some explosive plays late. This is one of those games that we talked about earlier in the year that people are going to look at 30-14 and they're going to say, oh, it's a blowout. This game was 17-7 at the half. And so, what was it, 20-14 at the end of the third quarter? Closer game than a lot of people are going to want to believe. But Ole Miss made some big plays late. Because Trinidad Chambliss was off early. Couple dirt balls, overthrew one or two. He threw one behind a couple of receivers coming across the middle of the field. He just wasn't on, but he got it going late, and that was enough for them to win the game. Deuce Alexander, big run after the catch for 11. He had 2 for 52. Daquan Wright was big for Ole Miss in this game. I'm just telling you guys, the thing that he does inline blocking, the inserts on the end of the line of scrimmage, and then catching the football specifically on some of the fakes, he's a fun player to watch. And he's not Brock Bowers and super dynamic, but he had the one catch down the sideline. I think it was like the 24-yarder. It was a nice grab. He's just so important to this team. So important to this team. And I think they're getting stronger at tight end. So as the season goes on, they're going to get better and better there. But on the defensive side of the ball is where I think Ole Miss won this game. You saw the double, and I'll say maybe sometimes triple spy. I don't know if some guys were just trying to maintain, contain, or whatever it was. But there were 2 spies often in this game, and it threw Lenore Sellers off because there were a couple drops where he looks to go north and south, which is where he needs to go, and all of a sudden he sees that defender standing there about 5 yards off the ball. Then on top of that, Pete Golding would start to take those defenders and trigger them right when he got to the back of his drop. So it's a green dog. You see if the back's staying in, or timing, you just wait. It's a delayed blitz, and I think that threw off his timing as well. But when you have a guy like Centarion Perkins who can float out there and then run with him laterally, you can play these kind of techniques. Because usually with Sellers, there's not a spy that can get the job done. 2 spies did get the job done. And when one of them's Perkins, he can actually run him down and get him to the ground. That's the thing, is a lot of teams get pressure against Sellers but don't get him to the ground. A lot of these quarterbacks, same thing with Chambliss. They were able to get him to the ground. This Ole Miss defense, 6 sacks in this game. And it was inside too. Like Will Eccles, great again, being able to get some pressure. Big Xavier Harris busted through a couple of times. I thought Cam Franklin had a really nice game. He's the one that Pete Golding said they need inside and outside. The defensive line's playing great football. They really are. And that ultimately was a difference in the game. Had some breakdowns in coverage. I thought most of it in cover 2, where they were able to get some things over in between the corner and the safety and over the middle of the field just a little bit. But that's some of that scramble drill as well. So you're not going to be too frustrated when guys either can't locate a receiver to plaster or can't find the receiver to plaster and that quarterback's getting outside of the pocket. Those things are going to happen with a guy like Sellers. But I thought it was a strong performance by the defense. So here I'm going to show you a play from Ole Miss with the 2 spy. And you'll see Sellers drop back, and you're going to see right over the middle of the field here, has a chance to leave the pocket. Doesn't, but right away, he knows that spy is there, so he's going to try to leave to his right. But then that second spy just kind of sitting there waking, and Perkins able to just fly outside of the perimeter, able to get him to the ground. An excellent job by Pete Golding implementing that. And offensively for South Carolina, they fire Mike Shula. What are you leaning on here? Like, you can't build a traditional run game because the offensive line can't block them up. I do think 78 still giving you good snaps. I thought Faison ran hard. Got to hold on to the football, though. That thing pops out early. You don't have a lot of options there to be able to go to. Like, I do think Matt Fuller is a little bit more explosive, twitchy, but he's not going to be able to grind yards out for you. And Sellers is going to give you a lot of your run game. But they just cannot build that first to be able to sort of have other things to stack on top of it as the game goes on. They've got to find some baseline offense that they know they can rely on week in and week out. It's just not there right now. Sellers got a couple down the field, and Nick Harbor had the deep catch. But still, the catch and run for South Carolina, not quite there. And that's what they need help with. I thought 87 was great blocking. Did some good things there. They didn't target him as much, but he did help at the line of scrimmage. So That was a tough one for South Carolina because I thought Ole Miss had a good plan. And I think we're seeing the Ole Miss line of scrimmage as the season goes on be better than people imagine. I didn't think the offensive line had a chance to be very good. They're not great. They're getting better. The defensive line, everybody thought, oh, all these departures, they can't be good. They're continuing to prove week in and week out they're pretty good, and they can be a handful. So that's good news for Ole Miss because the skill position, was there. You got to shore up the secondary just a little bit, but it's starting to come around for a little bit of a playoff run for Ole Miss right now based on how things are going. Don't forget about Pizza Pulls. The Bowman Chrome College football product is now out. You're going to go to Fanatics Live right there. Bam. Then you're going to go up to the search tab at the top right there. You're going to hit that. You're going to put pizza in. You're going to go to shops, and you're going to see Pizza Pulls, and you're going to go to that right there, and you're going to see me. We'll get the graphic up here in a day or two. Wednesday, I'll be in there breaking college football again. I'm going to get in as much as I can to try to break some of this stuff. It's an awesome product. Let's see what we got. We've got a little, what is this? Florida wide receiver, Aiden Mazel to 350. Diego Pavia to 275. We got a Sam Levitt to 325. We got a little Ty Simpson on the auto right there. That's not too bad. Bama quarterback. GJ Frederick, Miami on the auto right there. It's a cool product, man. They got some really neat stuff in there. I pulled a Cedric Alexander auto, and I'm keeping that one because that's my guy. But go check us out at Pizza Pulls. Wednesday, I'll be in there breaking. We've got all the college football going. We're going to try to get a ton of it in strips as well, getting some huge pulls there. Check us out at pizzapulls.com or go into that Fanatics Live app and search Pizza Pulls and find me there. All right, Vandy, Texas. So going into this game, I think on the show last week I said, and I picked Vandy to win the game. I can admit I was wrong. But I thought the Texas edges versus the Vanderbilt tackles were going to decide this game. And a little bit of style fight played into this as well. Like, Vandy's not a team that really can play from behind. That's not their comfort zone. That's not where they need to live. Now, Pavia did a great job completing some balls, able to get them back in. The 4th and 19, whatever it was. By the way, the block from Cedric Alexander on the 4th and 19 is what people need to be talking about. Not enough people talk about Cedric Alexander because he's awesome. Nonetheless, we talk about it on this show. Pavia, 27 of 38, 365, 3 touchdowns. 14 for 43 rushing, 1 yard. Vandy rushed for 58 yards as a team. The edge defenders were incredible for the Texas defense. They got them behind the sticks. That allowed Vandy to get behind in the game because the Texas offense was scoring points. I thought Arch looked good, maybe his best game. Had a lot of zip on the ball. His footwork was a little bit better, a little bit cleaner when delivering the ball. But again, it was the catch and run. Like we've talked about. Like Ryan Wingo catches a couple of quick throws, and he turns one of them into a 75-yard touchdown. When Texas is breaking tackles and creating explosives on high percentage plays, be it handoffs, tosses, screens, quick throws, slants, hitches, whatever, they're going. Because that allows them to be different than you. And when they can tee off on your tackles, once again, they're going because that allows them to be different than you. Now, this somewhat falls into a little bit of the category of they like to do all the cool stuff, and they might not be adept at doing all the dirty work and all the hard stuff. But if they're continuing to try and move past that and get a little bit better with it, then that can be okay for right now. But they got Vanderbilt down and their edges were able to tee off. The reason they were able to do that were plays like this. All right, so first play here I want to show you with the Texas defense. Like I mentioned, these edges are going to be put in conflict by Diego Pavia working these fakes, the RPOs, different things like that. So watch Colin Simmons right here play this thing flat. And Pavia doesn't want to pull it because he thinks he's got him sticking outside, hanging outside just a little bit to the point to where they can get this thing up inside. Now, it's a pretty good job by that D-line and the linebackers as well. But then watch Simmons fall right back inside, squeeze in, and then make that play for 2-3 yards where could have been one that busted for a lot more than that. That's the kind of thing that this Vanderbilt offense was not able to take advantage of against the Texas defense. All right, next play we'll show you here. It's actually a nice design by Tim Beck with like this orbit motion to counter whatever it is. But you got one edge defender is going to run right past the puller here. You see right guard's going to try to pull and kick him out. No regard, just coming right upfield to attack. And not only going to make the play there, didn't necessarily need this, but attacking the mesh on the backside as well with no regard for this bootleg. So good reads, good anticipation, good understanding. But making up your mind to being aggressive one way or the other after you had been maybe slow playing some things earlier. Just a couple of the reasons that Vanderbilt couldn't take advantage of these Texas edge defenders in this game. So ultimately, I thought that was the difference. Texas was a little, I would say, stingy with the run game, like stuck with it, a little stubborn with the run game. Weiser goes 18 for 75. They didn't try it once or twice and then bail on it when it didn't go. So I give them credit for that. But the playmakers made plays. DeAndre Moore had a good catch and run. Emmett Mosley had a good game. We mentioned Wingo was just awesome. So those edges, though, Ethan Burke, Colin Simmons, Trey Moore, outstanding for the Texas defense. I thought Anthony Hill Jr. had a nice game here. We still see Lee Fowl always active, always attacking the football. And at the end of the day, did the secondary have a couple of breakdowns later in the game? Probably because of some of the soft coverage they were playing. That's fine. But what the game plan needed to be coming in, they attacked that, dominated that, and then ultimately let them get the win. So an excellent job by Texas getting that one. All right, guys, Game Day Men's Health. Don't forget about them. If you are feeling tired, you're lacking sleep, lacking energy, if you have brain fog, Game Day Men's Health wants to help you. All you do is go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com now. Sign up for the free consultation. Why not? Let them go in there and get your baseline health. Okay? Free PSA test, free testosterone test. They're going to weigh you in, get your blood pressure, all the other vitals. They're going to let you know where your health is. Then they're going to present the options they have that can maybe help you out, that you're going to be able to benefit from. Weight loss, peptides, testosterone replacement. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Tell them you heard about them here on Cube Show. Listen, there's almost no money up front for this to get started. That's different than a lot of other places. They're open in Trustville. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Sign up for the free consultation today. All right, Oklahoma and Tennessee. Oklahoma gets the win 33-27. Another physical game. Line of scrimmage, brutal in this game. Fun to watch for me. This was one of the first games this year that it felt like Oklahoma's offense was just okay chipping away. They were okay just saying, you know what? We'll take our 5 yards. We'll take the free grass over here. Now, that didn't mean that there was like really a lot of consistency to how a lot of it operated, and that's basically because of John Mateer. Like, John Mateer probably saved them from minus 80 yards in tackles behind the line of scrimmage in this game. I need to go back and chart that and just look at where he would have been taken down upon initial pressure and how many yards he saved them by what it would have been and then what he got them. I bet it's close to 100 yards. Easy. Like, John Mateer was the difference in this game. No doubt. I understand some breakdowns with the Tennessee defense. I understand some turnovers by Joey Aguilar later. But the difference was John Mateer escaping catastrophe plays. That's it. Because he also didn't try to overdo it. He took the routes that were there. He took the free grass. He took the uncovereds. Sometimes they made some plays out of it. Not a lot of huge explosive plays out of those. But they chipped away just enough to then sort of back the Tennessee defense off a little bit. And that's where some of the run stuff went. And I think some of the run stuff with Xavier Robinson went because there was so much attention on Mateer potentially leaving the pocket. Oklahoma did a good job with gap scheme runs. Tennessee got swallowed up with those pullers. So if it's counter power outside, whether you're looking to kick somebody out or wrap and reach them and kind of cut them off, wall them off, the Tennessee edges, ends, which they played compressed a little bit in this game, they got gobbled up down inside. So you lose contain, then all of a sudden Robinson can burst to the outside. It's easy for you to get that reach or that wrap or that cutoff block, and he's got room to go to the outside. That was one of the major flaws I saw with the Tennessee defense in this game. So I thought 7 played fast. I thought the defensive line played fine. Listen, if you're making the quarterback leave the pocket, you're doing something right. And I thought Eason and company were able to get after him and cause problems and be able to do that on a regular basis. Spillman got some good rushes. You had some pressures from Thielander into the backfield that worked. Dominic Bailey had a couple of good reps in pass pro. Jackson Moy got a good push at times, but you didn't get him to the ground. And ultimately, that was the difference. I understand that some of the interceptions from Aguilar may seem to be unacceptable, but you're pressing a little bit late. I thought one was bad. And then you got a guy that did give you shots down the field, and a couple missed, by the way. But you had some catch and run from the Tennessee wide receivers that helped. And the run game just almost non-existent. Like, Deshaun Bishop and company had been rolling all season. This was a different deal, though. I'm going to show you why Oklahoma needs to stay aggressive and needs to continue to move defensively to be successful. So you see how some of those twists and those wrapping D linemen, they end up right where the play is, and there's not a lot you can do about it. They can beat you one-on-one. Oklahoma has guys across the board, whether it's David Stone, whether it is Jaden Jackson, whether it's Grayson Halton, or Mason Thomas. But when they're moving, they're hell on wheels, and they're tough to deal with. And plays like that are why. Because even if you block it to perfection, you can end up being wrong. And that's just kind of part of it. So tough game for Tennessee. Environment looked incredible. That film was shaking a little bit on there. And I don't feel too bad about this. I mean, this is a game that got away from you, but you were competitive, and you made some big mistakes that cost you. All right, so Mississippi State finally gets one. Congrats to Lebby and those guys. I think we told you on this show it was coming. We kind of saw it coming. It was going to get there. 38-35. They end up getting the win, and not without drama. Not without drama. I mean, you had to have some massive plays late, and you had to have a fourth down conversion on 4th and 4 to Anthony Evans, who takes that thing in for the touchdown. And just incredible to think about kind of where this team has come, where they've been, the adversity they've overcome, because there's a lot of people that sort of counted them out. Can you imagine being a team that was 0-4 in the SEC, didn't win an SEC game last year, being as close as they've been the last couple of weeks, yet still coming out, still fighting, still scratching, still clawing. Shapen 16 of 28, 242, did have the one pick. Kamario Taylor did a nice job with some of the Q runs when he came in. He's got to learn to adjust the velocity on the football a little bit, and he's going to be fine. Evans, 5 for 111. Brennan Thompson, 6 for 107. Not as good in the run game as they had been, but I think that opened some things up down the field. And once again, there was 3 or 4 shot plays that were missed in this game from Mississippi State. The line of scrimmage for Arkansas on defense, just flat out not great. And you had Cam Ball back in there, so I thought it was going to be a little bit better, and it just wasn't. Linebackers jumping gaps, defensive linemen getting their shoulders turned, getting displaced out of their gaps. And then in the pass rush, though, I will say Quincy Rose was a man-child. And he had some plays against the run, too. Bradley Shaw had a good game for Arkansas, but 97, man, he needs a little bit more discussion. Because come draft time, he's going to be a dude that makes some noise. I don't think there's any doubt about it. So this was a great one for Mississippi State. Got most of it done through the air, stuck with it, stayed with it, and you go out there and you get a win. I thought for Arkansas, the number one thing that I'm not going to say this really shows up on film. This is not like a film study thing, but when you have 18 penalties for 193 yards, I don't really care what you do. You're probably not winning that game, which, by the way, that is the most penalties in a game in FBS this year by, I think, 3, and the most penalty yards in an FBS game this year by like 25 or 30. So that is beyond egregious. Cannot happen. Complete lack of discipline for Arkansas to even stay competitive and get in this game was impressive late because of how you shot yourself in the foot with those penalties. All right, wanted to keep this in a little bit tighter for you guys. That's today's show. We'll be back next week going through all the SEC games. Please subscribe. Tell your friends about us. We appreciate you. And don't forget, be back next week for Cube Show.